Google recently released a build mode inside their Google AI Studio. First, if you don't know what Google AI Studio is,
It was a platform created for developers who wanted to integrate it within their own app.
but now they also added a build mode here, which on the first view looks very similar to Bolt or Lovable or any other AI app builder. But the biggest thing over here is this is available to use for free. This gives you up to 100 free messages every day, which is actually nuts if you compare it with Bolt or Lovable. At $25, Lovable only gives you 100 messages for the entire month. And with Bolt, you get around 20 to 30 million tokens, which actually runs out if you are building one or two apps. But if you compare it with Google AI Studio, this gives you all of it for free. And if you run out with your 100 messages per day limit, you can also use your own API key over here, which means you just need to pay for the amount of tokens or credits that you're using beyond that point. For the last 1 week, I've been extensively using this platform and I'm pretty happy with the kind of responses that I'm getting. And in this video, I would be showing you my honest experience of using all of these three tools. And this will help you decide that if you need to be spending $25 per month on tools like Bolt and Lovable anymore. So let's get started.
In this video, I'm going to compare it side by side with Bolt and Lovable, creating the same app, but you would be seeing that how a free offering like Google AI Studio works compared to Bolt and Lovable, both of which comes at $25 per month. If you look at this platform, you had these bunch of options here down below. These are basically ideas of different apps that you can create. One cool thing that you will see over here is all of these apps can use Nano Banana and VO3 natively, which is actually pretty interesting because Nano Banana and VO 3.1 are the best image and video models out there. So you would want to use them in your apps. There is also a button called I am feeling lucky, which just generates a random prompt for you that you can use for creating your app. When I clicked on this button, it wrote down a prompt: create an app that helps me design my dream garden by generating layouts, plant visual based on my preferences. And along with that, it also added the documentation on how to use Nano Banana within the app, which is actually pretty cool because you had to do it manually back in the day. Along with this, there is also a option to input your speech, and along with that, you can also add PDFs, text files, images, just to add more context to it. I will just click on I'm feeling lucky again. This is pretty cool because this takes you back to the I am feeling lucky button on Google. And although that was for search, but now even you can create apps to kill your boredom, which is pretty cool if you ask me. This sounds like a cool idea. Create a cross platform social media content generator. Users input an idea, the app asks for desired tone, generates draft, and then it drafts posts tailored for LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, along with unique image tailored for each platform's optimal aspect ratio. And I will just run this here, and along with this, I will also drop this prompt in Bolt and Lovable as well, so that we can compare it side by side that how good or bad these platforms are. The interface on Google's AI Studio looks very similar to Bolt or Lovable. There is this preview tab where it will show you the app that it has created, and along with that, there is also a code mode. Over here, you will see all the new files being created. If I go back to preview, you can also select the device you want to see your app for. And then there are option on the top right here, which is to save the app, to download the app, which would download the entire code. Then you can also save it to GitHub, which is actually a pretty useful feature because if I talk about personally about my workflows, I focus on using these platforms for creating the first version of the app, or converting a discussion about an app into an initial prototype just to test it out before we actually start building the app. So in that case, like pushing the code to GitHub is pretty useful so that you can build on top of it. Along with that, you can also deploy the app directly from here. This requires you to connect payment method to your account, but it does not charge it. And then you can also share the app. Now it has generated the entire app. It's called Social Sphere Content Generator. So let me drop a prompt here. Google AI Studio versus Lovable versus Bolt, which is the vibe coding king. And I will, make it sound witty, and I will just click on generate content. Let's also go back to Bolt. So with Bolt, I see that it is creating a mobile app. I would want a web app rather than a mobile app. So I will just pause it here and I will just create a new chat in that I will specifically mention that we want a web app, and I will send this again. Lovable is still working on it. So let's come back here in some time. If I come back on Google AI Studio, I see that there is already a response. So it has created a post for LinkedIn, Google AI Studio versus Lovable versus Bolt, which is the vibe coding king. I actually like the graphic. It looks pretty cool. It's very high definition. It looks modern. Now looking at Twitter, so the graphic is still pretty dope. This is actually very high definition. Then the tweet is also concise. I like it. And then finally, it has also did for Instagram. The Instagram graphic is actually the best. If I would have actually provided Lovables and Bolt's logo, then this would be actually something that I would post. Google AI Studios logo is precisely used over here, and the text choices are even nice. Overall, I really like the image generation over here. I would want to tweak some things on how it is generating text right now, but it's the first version of the app and it's already doing well. Let me try downloading the images and see if that works. Okay, that is working fine. So this is actually a pretty good app. Now let me go back to Bolt and see where it is. Still working on building out the app. Same with Lovable. If I talk about how I use these products, it's much more about building the first version of the app. I don't use them for building end to end apps. If you're just looking to create a prototype, then I definitely think that it has everything. You just need to create something pretty quick, which it is actually very good at, and then you just need to move it to GitHub. And from there, you can just start building on top of it. For that, I usually use Cursor because it gives you much more control. So I see that Bolt is done creating the app. I see it ask me to add my OpenAI API key. Let me just grab it. I've added my OpenAI API key. So let me just use the same prompt here. I'll just mention Google AI Studio versus Lovable versus Bolt. And let's keep it witty. And it has started generating the post. Let's go back on Lovable. It is done as well. So I will do the same thing here. I will just mention the prompt and I will select witty. Let's wait for it to generate the actual posts. I see some errors here. I will just copy this error and I will paste this here. Let's check out Bolt's response. It's still generating the image for LinkedIn, and the text says it's optimized for LinkedIn, but I feel the characters are less than what I usually see on LinkedIn, but it's still nicely structured. It's very wordy. Then there's this image for Twitter, which is actually a very bad image. I'm not sure which model it is using, but it just created something. Then the image for Instagram. Over here, it mentions AI Studio. And then there is a heart for Lovable. And then there is a bolt over here. And then there's a crown. So it sort of understood what we are trying to create. But this image looks very, very out of the place. If I see this on Instagram, I would be actually freaked out. So for LinkedIn, I still see that it is being loaded. So probably something with that. But this seems to be working fine. And if I come on Lovable and I drop the prompt here, now let's check out Lovable's response. So I see that it has created images for all the three platforms. And there is also text of the post. So there's this image. I cannot see the entire image. This is a bit cut out. So that's a bummer. But the images themselves are pretty good. I won't say that these are better than the images that were created by Google AI Studio, but I would rank this much higher than Bolt. So there's the text here. The text actually looks good on a glance. And then the image for Instagram is also pretty nice. And all the three images actually look good. The only bummer here is I cannot download the images directly. I can, although, just save these images and that would download it, but I cannot directly download them through a button. I can copy the text here, and then each of these modals are painted according to the color of the exact platform, which is a nice touch. If I compare it with Bolt, then definitely Bolt has done a better job in showing me the preview of the images, although it's still running for LinkedIn. So probably there is some error here. And if I also compare it with Google AI Studio, I think Google AI Studio did a really good job at understanding that the aspect ratio for every image would be different and handling it differently. So that is done well. I also see buttons here for downloading it. And overall, the UI is consistent, but it's a bit generic. If I compare it side by side with Lovable, I think it is cleaner, but it does not stand out that much. Although that's my personal opinion, do tell me know in the comments which you think did a better job in creating a better UI. But I definitely think, in terms of creating a better product with the first prompt itself, Google AI Studio did a much better job. Like, the images are even better, and also the aspect ratio is being handled properly. There are all the downloads button here, so that's done nicely. And along with that, I think this is a solid choice for someone who wants to create a prototype, and that too for free. For both of these platforms, you have to spend $25 if you want to get the subscription. Right now, I just showed you this demo on the free modes here, but I've used their paid plan as well. And the only difference, honestly, is that you just get more messages every day, but the models are the same. The kind of outputs that you're getting are the same. Although it's not an apple to apple comparison, Google AI Studio does a good job and it's available for free. But there are some things that you don't get over there. When you compare it with Bolt, Bolt has a lot of these add-ons for doing authentication, for analytics, for integrating Stripe payments within your platform, which is not available in Google AI Studio right now. If you would want to integrate Stripe over here, you would have to drop their entire documentation over here and then, like, sort of make those changes. Although when you compare it with Bolt, over there it's a one-click setup. Same is true with Lovable. With Lovable, you get a lot of these functions like analytics, cloud, where you can save a database, and authentication. Then you also get edge function. Sort of everything that was available in Supabase is now available natively on Lovable and Bolt, which is actually a pretty big add-on if you want to use it for creating your entire app and run it too. But in my case, where you just want something to create the first version of the app, or at least the UI, so that you can show it to someone and tell it that this is what we would be building up, then I think definitely this is a much better option. You don't have to pay anything, and you also get to keep this code. You also get to push it to GitHub. You can use all the AI features. And by the way, I did not add a payment account here. All of this is available to me for free. In Bolt, I had to input my OpenAI API key, which would be some cost. Although I don't think so, it would be a lot of cost, but it is still charging me. But all of these generations are available for free. So a pretty good option. It's up to you. Do check it out. Along with this, Google AI Studio has a lot of other pretty cool things as well. You can just go on the chat mode, and over here you get unfiltered versions of Gemini 2.5 Pro and all of their other models like VO 3.1, Nano Banana. Everything is available here. So this is a definitely cool platform to explore if you haven't, and a pretty solid option for someone who just want to create a prototype of an app. That's all for this one. I will see you in the next video.